Man, hold up. Microphone check 1 2 1 2. Am I loud and clear? Can you hear me okay, Eduardo? How are you?
How are you, my friend? I am hear you total clear. How is
Good,
everything by your side?
good. Just still trying to master the introduction song, but it's okay. We're getting around to it. Eduardo, good to see you, my friend. How are you today?
Everything is okay by this size of the planet.
I like
Well,
that. I like that.
it's started the cool here. We are in a new season. Is autumn, and the weather is changing, and it's more fresh. It's not so hot, so I like it. I like it.
Okay, so right now in Peru, you guys are going into the winter now?
Into the autumn.
Autumn, which
Yes,
is for you autumn and then
yes,
winter.
yes, right. Total. We have
When does your
finished
winter
summer.
begin?
I think that in 2 months, because uh, autumn started at the end of the March, so it have to pass some days to you see the difference, and now we are seeing the difference, and it feels cooler, and we have to adapt to the new weather. For example, the prediction says that it's going to be very, 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 uh, cold, but I don't know.
Okay, okay. And what do you prefer? Do you prefer it to be a little
I
hot or a little
think
cold?
depend because, for example, in some time when you feel so much hot, you say, "Oh no, I prefer cold weather." But when you feel so cold, you say, "Ah no, I prefer a little sun." But it depends. Yeah, it depends. But by my side, for example, I prefer summer. I prefer summer. But what
Okay.
I don't like of summer is that some days it's very, very hot and you don't have air condition, and it's like it's a little.
Uncomfortable.
Yes, 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 yes. But still, I try to adapt.
All right, all right. We always got to try to adapt. That always seems to be the theme of our story, Eduardo, just trying to adapt to the situation. Again, thank you everybody for joining me today. I'm here. I got like 3 cameras pointing at me. Also live on TikTok. So shout out to everybody in TikTok that's listening. If you do want to get the full conversation and also get what Eduardo is saying, please go to the YouTube channel. For y'all that are already here, much love. Happy Saturday. It is Saturday, April 13th. As Eduardo said, in Peru, they're about to go into the autumn. For us, we just got to the spring. So the springtime, kind of like the spring to the summer is like the autumn to the winter, right? It's like starts to get a little warmer. We just got out of winter. The flowers start to come out. Very nice weather, not too hot. So I can relate to the freshness. All righty. But again, thank you all for
I think
joining us.
I'm so sorry that I interrupt you, Ramon.
No,
I
you're
think
good.
that in Miami the weather is always hot, right? Or you have some days that maybe it's a little colder, or maybe with rainer. I don't know, raining. I don't know.
It does rain a lot, and it does get I mean, it can get a little chilly. Look, this morning I went for a run,
Mhm.
and it wasn't super hot. In fact, I was considering wearing like a long sleeve sweater or something like that, or a hoodie. But once you start running, like your body starts to warm up, so it wasn't even needed.
Do you normally go to run early?
I try, man. I try as much as I can to stay active, go
I
for a
do the
little run.
same. I do the same, For example, days that I don't go to the gym because I normally go to the gym, go to the pool. For example, I try to go to gym Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, three days per week. And on Saturday, I went to the pool very early, 6 a.m. And on Saturday, like today, for example, I try to go to run. Sorry, Thursday I go to the pool and Saturday I go to runs. early. But today I couldn't go because I fell asleep. I was very tired. But tomorrow, Sunday, I'm going to room early, 6 a.m. or yes, 10 to 6 or 6 a.m. Try to go very early to not get sun.
Actually, I try to get sun. I know to some people, the sun can maybe give some kind of skin damage, can maybe hurt your eyes. To other people, the sun actually provides energy. And a lot of people go out and they sunbathe. My dog sunbathes. She just kind of lays down in the sun, and the sun gives you some vitamin. I think it's vitamin D or something like that. It gives you energy. It can make you feel better, but of course, like everything in moderation, we don't want to overdo it either. So I get it. It could make you sweat. It could be uncomfortable, especially if you're running for a long time.
Yes, right. Normally I only run 60 minutes, and after that I will because I
You got to get breathing, right? In through the nose, out through the mouth.
yes, I
Um,
do.
I actually want to share something that I wanted to get that I was hearing about. There's some people that they'll tape their mouth when they sleep. So they're forced to breathe through your nose because breathing through your nose is healthier throughout the night. So it's like a little tape you put on your mouth when you go to sleep. That way it helps you breathe correctly.
I didn't know that. I want to try it.
But awesome, Eduardo. Again, thank y'all for joining the live stream where we all come together to discuss different topics. Of course, we don't claim to be experts on these topics. Consider us your friends in your living room, just talking about things. We are here to practice our English, practice our communication, always being joined from everyone from around the world. Eduardo, of course, is in Peru. I'm in the United States. Shout out to Wes out in Nigeria, always bringing the good people. Shout out to Joko. Hello, thanks for joining us. And I don't want to butcher your name, but I'm just gonna call you Oye because Oye is the beginning of your name. So again, super happy to have you. We are doing great on this wonderful Saturday. But I did want to bring up. I just listened to a podcast. Right, this podcast is from Patrick Bet David, the PBD podcast, also called Valuetainment, and they had a special guest called Damon Dash or Dame Dash. Dame Dash was in the music industry for a long time. He is 1/3 of the owner of Rockefeller Records. Rockefeller Records was the record label that Jay-Z, Beyonce's husband, for y'all that don't know, was under. And Dame Dash was also Jay-Z's manager for a long time. Again, his music industry work was a little more in the like late 90s, early 2000s. But Eduardo, suggestion to you, very good podcast. I know Patrick and Dame are both men of strong principle, and they might come from different worlds. So to see them both kind of communicate, it's very, very interesting. Strongly suggest for anybody that needs a good listen.
Totally agree with you, Ram. And you know what? It's very important that you have this with diversity, right? To sometimes, people from two different, maybe different environments speaks because you get different opinions, different point of view that helps you.
Exactly. It's good when like two people that are very different talk. Maybe me and you, right? We're a little different, even though we also have a lot of things in common. You just get different perspectives. Now, both people have to put in extra effort to be respectful, to communicate accordingly, but it's always fun to watch.
Yes, totally agree with you.
All right. And with that being said, let me see. We got a couple fun topics today. But you know what? Let's kind of roll in with, let me see how many people we have in the live stream. Hmm. Let's go with one of our subtopics first, and then we'll go into like the main topic. First things first, let's keep it. We got WrestleMania or OJ Simpson? Eduardo, which one you want to roll the dice with first?
I think that OJ Simpson. I have information about him. Well, in fact, I remember when I was a child because it was happening many years ago, and I saw a documentary about this because this case was very, very, very popular and very, very sound in many countries, in not only USA, here in my country too, because we are connected in some
Of
way,
course.
and it's very. I mean, it was very polemic because I think he was very famous, right? He was a player in, a exportman player, a football, American football, right? And I know that he killed his ex-wife, and that case was very controversial because there were many, many theories that not fixed very well, right?
Correction
Like,
though, correction though. He went to trial and was found innocent. Even
yes,
though you're right, a lot of people may
yes,
think differently, but by law, technically, we cannot say he did, and we can't say he didn't. Look, when it comes to celebrities and like high profile cases, look, man, if I'm not the lawyer, if I'm not in the courtroom, if I'm not the judge, I am at lack of information. So I just
yes,
try to be very careful. Even people that may be portrayed negatively, I just try to be careful how I word. Yes, he
totally.
was
Yeah.
accused of killing his wife. That was a very, very high profile case. It was on TV every day. Everybody was watching it. Even you in Peru, you were a kid and you were watching it and you knew about it.
And
But yeah,
do you know sometimes it's difficult because some medias, some channels, some programs tell the story in a way that you believe. Of course, they emphasize, for example, in some point that maybe make you believe, you know, some theories or but some side, right? You go to some sides. So it's very particular because I mean, I'm not a liar, and I have not the abilities to judge that case specific because this or the other, but still I try to understand the whole, right? As much as I can, right? Because I'm not a lawyer. I am not, if it says it's easy to demonstrate or not easy to demonstrate or it's correct or not correct what he said. Is even it's work because I do not live in United States, so I don't know exactly how it's work how function the word there, right? So, but it's still, I seem that I have read so many criticals that say some theory that, hey, but this is not correct. This is the other. I know that the case was very uh, touch the racial, the discrimination because their defender was their defenders, the defender of the case was very strong, was very smart people, was very
you mean the lawyers.
yeah, the lawyer, the team of lawyer, the staff was very, very top. So maybe it helps a lot, right? It
Okay.
influenced what's very strategy. Their position was very strategy. They touch many topic that maybe people don't know that exist, or I don't know.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought up that point. So yes, well, like, okay, to the people listening, I just don't want to confuse the audience real quick in case for those that may not know. I mean, like I said, I am aware of OJ Simpson. In fact, fun fact, I met OJ Simpson at a Macy's. When I was in my early teens, I worked at a no, my late teens, like um when I was later in my teen years, I worked at a Macy's. And in Macy's, which is a retail department store in the United States, one of the biggest department stores, and they're like, "Oh, look, it's OJ. OJ's here." Mind you, this is after the case, so everybody's like, "All right, I don't know if I should approach him." I went up to him respectfully, said, "Hey, OJ, how are you? Nice to meet you." Shook his hand. He said, "Thank you, my pleasure." And then it was a quick handshake, and I walked away because OJ, even though we remember him more for like this negative thing, right, for this case that he went through, for this situation, ideally he began, like you mentioned, an American football player. He played for the Buffalo Bills. He was a celebrity. He was well known. He was in movies.
Yes, he was actor. Yes, he's very popular, and that's
Yeah,
why
yeah.
the case was very contentious. But you know what? You know what? Now, speaking about the topic, but if we speak about how his life, how his life was, after this case, he do not finish in a good way, right? Because he was very involved in controversial case. His life was in the same. I think that he went to jail. I know because I have read a little about him.
In Las
Uh,
Vegas, right?
yes, because he was charged. The charge was about he rob, and
Hold on. Wait. I know they say he robbed someone, but he was taking, okay, somebody was selling memorabilia of him, like things like jerseys, things he signed. And I get it. Memorabilia doesn't necessarily belong to the person that it represents. But yes, he forcefully went in there. I mean, to be honest, I don't know all the details about that, but I know, it's a thing where he felt people were selling certain, like I said, memorabilia of his, and he was trying to get it back or something like that. I'm not too sure, but just mentioning something. I know you mentioned him having a very good defense team,
yes,
right?
that's important in every case. In every case, because when each, why this happens. I suppose at least because I have seen when you have a good team that is going to defend you, this team know in each case how they maybe can, because rulers it's clear, but still they have some, there are some point there are a range where you can, this is the ruler and this is the range where you can add behind the ruler, okay? And so if you have a good team, the team know how to go for all this range of the ruler and make that maybe the ruler are not clear, or maybe you say that but you don't say this, and they have this trick, right? And and they know how influence because they are very good, they are powerful. And touch that the topic about discrimination was very strategic. uh so they I think that they did a good work. I think that they did work. Speaking about the case, right? I'm not talking about if the crimes was committed by him or not, but the defender were very good and they do very good work on that case.
They did. So they were actually called the Dream Team, and it was Johnny Cochran, which is one of the best lawyers ever, Robert Shapiro, and then there was one interesting person that was part of this team that I wanted to bring up that kind of connects a few dots here. Then we have Robert Kardashian. Does that last name ring a bell to you? Kardashian. Does it ring a bell? Does it remind you of anything?
Mm, no, 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 but
Okay, so his name is Robert Kardashian. Have you heard of Kim Kardashian?
yes, yes, I have heard his father.
It is her father. Yes.
Wow, it's her father.
Her father was a lawyer in that case. Her father is not alive anymore. To be
I
honest,
think
I don't even know why.
I just I was just finding information, and it was called the Dream Team, right? Famous Robert Shapiro and Johnny Cross.
But
Yes.
but that's an interesting fact because now the Kardashians are very much relevant and in the limelight now. I believe the wife of OJ, let me see, her name was Nicole, the one that got killed. I think she was friends with the family, if I'm not mistaken. So it's always been a little bit, this whole situation has been controversial. OJ's career's been a little controversial. It's the famous the glove doesn't fit, and he put the glove, and the glove was too
Yes,
small.
yes, and it's even I think that there is a phrase, there is it's because of this, they create a phrase.
They did. They did. It's I'm telling you, it's been a little bit, even like some people make jokes, memes, and there's also when OJ was gonna get arrested, there's the famous police chase in Los Angeles in the white Bronco where all the police are chasing him and he doesn't stop. He keeps going all the way home. So when it comes to OJ, again, I met him once, shook his hand, and everything else was media based. So he passed away due to a fight with cancer. Anybody that passes away, we got to respect it. At this point, you know, I know people have different mixed emotions about him. Like I said, when it comes to celebrities, I like just to keep it facts, but I did want to explain to everybody in case they didn't know they can do their own little research on OJ Simpson. There's a lot to read, a lot to learn. Just be open minded and understand that, there's different parts to a story.
Yes.
But okay, OJ Simpson. With that being said, let me see. Let me make sure I didn't forget anything OJ wise. Let me see. Talked about the case, the wife. Her name was Nicole Brown, by the way. Oh yeah, by the way, one little thing that might makes it a little odd. He did make a book, and the book was called something like "If I Did Do It, It Would Be Like This," or something like that. Like, even though he was found innocent, he didn't do a good job of like leaving it alone. He kind of kept like poking at the public by, like I said, making a book saying like, "Oh, what if I did do it?" Like kind of weird, but anyway, neither here or there. So I think we got most of our people here. We can go into our main topic of today. So today, me and Eduardo, when we talk, one of the things we have in common where we connect is that we both enjoy reading books.
Yes.
We always like books. We always talk about different books. He'll recommend some to me. I'll recommend some to him. We've read a couple of the same books. So I thought it would be a good topic. Overall, you know, what books we read, how we read, where we read, where do we find these books? So I think, and it's one of those things that nowadays everything is so digital, technology as it has advanced so much. And a book, an actual book, like the one that Eduardo's holding up, is kind of a little bit a thing of the past. Oh, or maybe not. A Kindle.
Yes.
But
Yes.
Eduardo, tell me a little bit
Yes.
about your book and reading journey.
I have my digital book. The actual book that I am reading are two books. I used to read two books at the same time because when I feel worried about one, I continue with the other. The book that I am reading now, mentioned it's Scaling People. Scaling People is a book from it's about a manager from Google that helped to grow Google from 300% to 1,000 people that they are. So how did he did? Because she is a girl. I mean, the author is a girl. It's very interesting because because she explained you all the problems that she faced during management of big company, especially Google, and it's very enriched. And okay, I want to talk about this book because it's the book that I'm reading now, and the other is the book that you recommend me. That is the Mountain is You. It's not self-developed book. It helps you to make things done. And I consider reading this book and the other. I read Knowledge Made Here, and I read here the brave enough to do it. It's very funny because why I decided to read both at the same time. And Yes, as I mentioned, books it's something that in a way have changed my life a lot because I remember when I started read, finished the university, I didn't read too much when I finished the university, but my sister gave me this. It's a Kindle in my birthday. I remember a birthday and she come to me and told me, "Hey, this is your gift." And I say, "What is this?" And I opened it and I saw that it was a Kindle. And she bought this from Amazon and she gave me. And I since that time I started to read because for me it was easy. I only download the book and I put here my Kindle and I read. I have read about 30 books here on my Kindle and I have all of them in my library. I don't prefer I don't like to read, physical books. I prefer to read here because it's for
I
me,
was
for
gonna
example,
ask you, what's the difference?
for example, I read books in English. So if I do not understand a word, I just touch and it translate. It's very useful because on that way I practice my English. So I read, for example, Scale People is in English, it has no translation. So yet because it's very new, and I read in English, and when I do not understand a word, I click and it translates. It's very useful for me. I like a lot. And because it's feel that I have everything here. If I have to return to another book, I just find and read. And it's like a paper, right? It's not a table. It's like a paper. It's very your vision is not going to be affected, and I like a lot. And returning to the time, I've seen that the book has given me another point of view, another vision, have given me another, another another mindset. So it helped me a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot. And I recommend people, and I know that for I recommend. I like when you recommend book because I remember that the first book that you recommend was Will Smith
Will.
reads, and I read in my book, and we share knowledge. Oh, did you see this book? Oh, do you know that he do this the other? And you say yes, he did, and that it helped us to connect more, right? Because both of us coincide, agree, sorry, that the books are very useful for us because it help a lot. I recommend people who is watching us that read please because it's going to help them to open their mind, try to read something that help. And it's important that people know their limits, they know their skill, know their capabilities, know the way he works because for example, in my case, I know how I work, I know my skill, I know my capability, and I know what is lacked, it's something that I need. So on that way, I choose a read, choose a book that is going to help me to complement that knowledge that is lack on my mind. So
Agreed, man.
it's very useful. I think I really recommend for people to see and try to read start with something easy, right? Don't go to there are many kind of books. So go with something easy. Go with motivational book because it's going to help you to start, right? After that, the second is going to be easier, and you can choose another on the way.
Yeah, sometimes some children books are really good too. I mean, I know because you know, my daughter loves to read. We go to the library, so she picks out books. But even if you're trying to learn English, start with some, start with some children books and read it out loud so you can help your pronunciation with words as well. But for me, as I'm a little older and sometimes have a lot of things to
The
do,
same age.
the what?
We are almost the same age.
Well, yeah, I'm saying like just in general from before when I was younger.
Okay.
Now I kind of have like more more things to do, right? So sometimes it's more helpful for me to multitask. So for example, it's a little more effective for me. I use Audible. So Audible is where I listen to the books. You sign up, you get a membership, and then you get like credits every month and you can listen to the book. I like that because number one, sometimes the author is narrating. And when the author, for example, right now I'm reading, I know I mentioned Patrick Bet David. I'm reading his book, Choose Your Enemies Wisely. And when I listen to it, he's talking. And I can kind of like feel the book a little more. Because I love books that come to life. Because, for example, I'm not a big fan of fiction where like it's a story that's not real. I like books that either really happened or is motivating you to make something happen. So I prefer to listen. And at the same time, I might be driving, I might be doing something else, and I'm listening at the same time. Like you mentioned, is a little bit more difficult for me to sit down with a super fat book and be like, all right, page number one. Then I start thinking about how long the book is. I don't know. Maybe I need to work on
And
that.
what you say, for example, is very interesting because, for example, the advantage of the advantage of this of here boots is that while you are driving, while you're in the traffic, while maybe you are washing, I don't know, your dish or cleaning your house, you can listen that, and it's very helpful because, for example, there are some activities that you don't require too much concentration. So on that way, you can read your book, right? Or hear your book because it's not going to it's going to let you to understand, right? For example, when you do mechanics things, right? Or something mechanic that you only have to do because you have to do and you know how to do it, right? So you listen the book and you even on that moment the creativity comes to your mind and you think another thing, you get reflections about the book because it's important when you read a book that not only read the book but get a reflection about your life, about you, how you can apply this to the other, no?
Absolutely. Those are the books I prefer, self-development books. I don't know why. I just always find myself in that section. But yeah, when you're reading a book, it's like you're recharging your brain, you're refilling your pitcher so you can be smarter, so you have more knowledge, you can be, it's better for you to communicate with people when you know more. And by reading it, it doesn't have to be like an old book. You can read the newspaper, articles. I think you read the think Harvard articles, right? On that
Your
website.
article, yes.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like even like a documentary on YouTube that has captions and you have to read a little bit. That's fine, man. Like there's no limit, there's no rules to reading. But my thing is don't stop doing it. It's kind of like working out. Like this morning I went for a run. I also listened to a podcast that could have been a book, right? Some of these podcasts should translate to little books. They would do great. Um,
Yes.
but I just wanted to mention some people in the chat. Jerry mentioned To Kill a Mockingbird. Have not heard that one, but I've heard about it. Peace says Jane Eyre. All right. And then Oye mentioned Harry Potter, which is
It's amazing. I have read that.
okay. Okay. I mean, I not gonna lie, like I mentioned, I'm not too big on the fiction, although I have read Star Wars and I've watched Star Wars, but you know what? Maybe I'll read my daughter Harry Potter. Maybe she'll like that one. Um,
I remember when I was on the school, before it to university, I started to read a lot because on the exam of university is going to take this topic about lecture comprehension, and you have to write all that you understand on the lecture on the admission test. And I started to read, and I read Harry Potter, and reading the book, it's totally different to see that the movie. On the movie, you lose a lot of details, and on the book, describe all of them, and it's very, very long, but still it's very entertaining.
awesome. But I mean, look, for me, I'll just mention some of my favorite titles throughout my life. I just throw out a few. The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. He also has other books like The Laws of Seduction, stuff like that. So look out, Robert Greene. That's a very, very good one. I read that when I was a lot younger. In fact, let me see. I just want to fact check the titles of his other books. So he has the 48 Laws of Power. I'm sorry, it's called The Art of Seduction, which is another book. Then there's Mastery. I have Mastery. I haven't quite read the whole thing, but I do have it, the actual paperback book. And then there's the 33 Strategies of War. All right. So these are 4 different books. 48 Laws of Power. I read that one in its entirety. The Art of Seduction, Mastery, and the 33 Strategies of War. These are all by Robert Greene. So these books are very like strategy, very, it makes you
Yes, really,
think.
yes.
And they're like self-development times 5 because they really push you to like take control of yourself and be the best person you can be. Another great book I read was You Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. Ooh, strongly recommend that one. I mean, and just to give you a brief about it, he's a Navy SEAL and he talks about his life and then he kind of ties that in going through Hell Week. Hell Week is what every Navy SEAL has to go through to become one. And it is one of the most difficult things that someone could go through. They have to be out in the water when it's cold. They have to carry things in the forest. They have to carry boats and logs and they can't rest. So they push their body all the way to the limit. So that way, if they're ever at war, and they're found in a difficult situation, it's okay because they've been there before.
Yes,
They
right.
recognize the pain. So David Goggins' whole philosophy is like, I'm going to invite the pain, let it sit next to me and be my friend. Because when life wants to give me pain, when life wants to, I already know what it feels like and I'll be able to handle it better. And on the other side of that discipline is the ultimate pleasure, the ultimate accomplishment. So, yes, please read David Goggins. You Can't Hurt Me, a must read. I also
What's
read
the name of the book?
You Can't Hurt Me.
Ah, okay.
Like, you cannot hurt me. Why? You can't hurt me because I already put myself through these pains and I already know what it feels like. So that's kind of like the thought process behind it. I also read The Richest Man in Babylon.
Ah,
Um,
I have read that book.
Kind of goes into finances, but from kind of looking at it from back in the day and explains how even today some of these principles have not changed. Um, but just a couple books, I mean, at the end of the day, you read what you like, you read what works best for you. I just felt like everybody threw out a couple titles, so I wanted to throw out a few too.
You know what? For example, now that you mentioned about this book about David Gowing, that it can hurt me. Uh, for example, it's very true what he said because in my book that I am reading now, Scaling People, the author say, for example, you have to do the difficult thing in your company if you want to company grow. That means that, for example, you have to face thing that maybe you are first, you have to face because when you face this on the future is going to be easier for you to do it because you have the experience about it. So as much as you get the experience, as easier it's going to be on the future. So it's the same what in deep at the end it's the same what David Goggins said, right?
Absolutely. Um, and it's something that it's a little difficult for the average person to process because in this philosophy, there's no shortcuts, there's no sugar, there's no pretty little speech. It is like, hey, let's go to the dungeon. Let's get it. Let's shred ourselves of the pain of being human because that's the only way you can become a beast. They asked Mike Tyson, what is your secret to success? How did you get to where you got to? And he said, you got to do the things you don't want to do and do them like you like it.
Yes.
Process that. Do the things you do not want to do, but when you do them, act like you like it. And people look at you like you're
That is
crazy.
very that is very that have sense because when I have read a book, Think Slow, Think Fast, when you change the way how you see a thing, it can change the way how you experience. Even you can edit your past, your thoughts. For example, when you think in a past events in your life, if you think in a bad way, you are look this thing traumatic. But if you think this past event as something that helped you and something that is what's good for you, you do not feel like that. So you can change even your past, thinking about him, about your past. If you think about your past in a good way, in your life, you are going to have more success because you are going to have less regrets, less fears. And it's something that helps a lot.
Definitely, 100%. So yeah, guys, keep reading, keep educating yourself. I know a couple more
Very
people in the
important.
chat. Success mentioned The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank. Wow, that's a classic one.
Yes.
Um, The Prophetess, The Prophetess Peace. We are doing great. She mentioned Little Woman. All right.
I have seen that the movie.
Yeah. Maybe just write to them a little bit, make my presence felt in the chat. All righty. So now we talked a little bit about books. Again, even if you don't have a Kindle, even if you don't have Audible, try your local library. I know where I'm from, a library card is free. And at your library, they even have resources like maybe museum passes. They might even have virtual things for you. Go to your library. I like to go to the library with my family, and it's always a good experience. There's a lot of libraries. Of course, I don't know how it is. Eduardo, you have libraries in Peru?
Yes, but it's not common. It's more that if you want a book, you go to the market and buy them because they are it's very easy to get a book here. It's very easy to get a book. If you want original, you go, to this knowing library. But if you want a book that is not original, you go a place where they sell them.
And look, right now, everyone here is on YouTube right now. Go on YouTube and look up free audiobook. In fact, you know which one I recommend on YouTube? I think, you know what? Let me not. I don't want any copyright strikes or flags. Look, just do your due diligence. Go to your library. See for any free available books on YouTube. Go on the check on your Kindle, Amazon. Go to Audible. These are all places where you can find great books. But Eduardo, one last little topic. I know we're like a little over time. Do you watch wrestling? And did you watch it growing up?
I have seen some chapter when I was a child, when I was a teenager, but the rest ultimately I have no scenes. But I feel I like when I see I like it because it was very acting, right? Because if you see that it's acting and it's very funny how people emotion when they see their fighter. And I like it. I remember when I was a child, I used to see this program, and when I was playing with my friends, we do this movement, these techniques while we were playing, and was very funny. But yes, I saw some episodes, and it's very funny. It's very funny. I like it. I know that it's acted. They are actors, and but yes, it's funny.
Yeah, like okay, now I just want to like be clear. So there's like Olympic wrestling. There's real wrestling, right? In the Olympics, you got like the head thing. It kind of looks like these headphones. You got like a one piece little outfit, and it's real. It's in the Olympics, right? But then there's like WWE, which is what I think what we're talking about growing up, maybe in Spanish, lucha libre,
Yes,
the guys with the masks.
yes.
And this, and I know you mentioned, okay, maybe it is scripted. And to some capacity, to me, it's theater. These guys are acting, working together, but The guys are real. Some of the hits are real. The blood is real. And at the end of the day, it's very hard to work together to create something engaging. Because you got the UFC, you have boxing. That's real fighting. But for some reason, they don't even engage as well as the wrestling does. And even now, when you watch boxing, the boxers start to like, hey, because they actually use communication a lot. They talk a lot. So if you want to practice your English, watch WWE. They're always with the microphone. And I
Yes.
guess this past weekend or this past week was Wrestlemania. Wrestlemania is the biggest event for this wrestling organization, WWE. It happens every year. I've been watching it since I was a little kid. After a while, I stopped watching wrestling at a certain age. But what was special, do you know The Rock,
Yes.
Dwayne Johnson?
Yes. It's very, very known. And
Okay.
now he's an actor, right?
Yeah. He's a
He started here in West
Yep,
Greece.
he started in
I didn't know.
WWE
I didn't
as
know that.
as Rocky Maivia when it was WWF. Man, it's funny, man. Me and my family actually ran into him at a roadhouse way back when he was a rival with Stone Cold Steve Austin. And I was wearing the Austin 316 t-shirt. And I remember I was a little like, I kind of didn't like him like in the show, but it's a show. But he was super nice. He signed an autograph for me. He talked to my dad. He looked at me. He's like, "We got to get you a new shirt." Super nice guy, super humble. But he, after acting so much, he made a comeback. So he kind of came back to WWE. So he was in a match, and in the middle of the match, like the other guy's on the floor. He's about to hit him with a belt, and right
Yes, I
before he
know
hits
this.
him,
Yes.
you hear a bell,
Yes.
like dong. And bro, if anybody watches wrestling and you hear that bell, you know what that means. And then the lights turn off. And that is for The Undertaker. The Undertaker is one of the most famous wrestlers of all time. He always comes out with long hair. His eyes always go, I can't even do it. His eyes are all white. He's always like he kind of has the aesthetic of like death and funeral and like caskets and like, well, the Undertaker in a funeral parlor, that's a job at a funeral to be the Undertaker, right? So, and when the lights went back on, he's standing right there looking at The Rock, and The Rock looks scared. He's like, "Oh no!" And then of course he gets him, does the classic choke slam, which is his signature move. The lights go back off. I knew it's a show, it's fun, but they were saying that every man that was 30 something years old watching this for 15 seconds became a little boy again. A little 8-year old, 10-year old. Yeah, because I remember being a little boy watching wrestling and just loving it, being motivated by it. And to be
Yes,
honest,
the impact in the fans is, it's super, super impact in fun because I see the video, I feel how people who is on the place, they live, they feel that, it's very, it's very funny.
yeah, man, I think John Cena is another famous guy. He
Yes,
also
yes,
came out running right before. So there was a lot of like special appearances. It was a good show. Like I said, I haven't been watching it that much, but I caught whiff of the situation with the Undertaker. But it's cool, man. I think as a child watching this, it gave me confidence. It gave me strength. I wanted to be strong. If there was someone picking on me at school, in my mind I thought I was the wrestler. I mean whatever. It's just growing up, being a boy, and I think a lot of grown men got that little boy feeling when the Undertaker came out. So It was very nostalgic for a lot of people. But that's it, y'all. That was WrestleMania 40. Just wanted to thank everyone for joining us today. We talked about OJ Simpson. We talked about our favorite books. Milik, I was wondering where Milik was at. Milik's always the first one here. How are you, Milik? Glad to see you made it. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Carmela, Kick, Wes, you know it's love always. Thank y'all for joining. I'm going to try to look into these books you guys wrote down. Great recommendations. Eduardo, like always, thank you, my brother. I always appreciate you waking up early on a Saturday, meeting with me. Any final words for the good people?
Okay, thank you once again for inviting me, and thank you to all our viewers to see all Saturday, to watch all Saturday. And thank you very much for everything. And remember, don't stop to read. As my friend Ramon says, don't stop to learn. It's very important you continue to read because it's the only way how you are going to create your own future. Thank you very much once again for being here.
Absolutely, Eduardo. Thank you again. Everybody, if you can do me the small favor, subscribe. Subscribe to the channel. I want y'all to keep up and be with us every week. If you go to my shorts, I do have a lot of little clips of this live stream in case you want to see it again or show someone. And I have a new video up that kind of showcases my Easter day and how that went. So check that out. Thank you all. TikTok, thank y'all as well. And we'll see y'all next week. Peace.